We got red light.
Mm-hmm.
You just turned the camera.
Because I turned it the other way.
Okay.
This is better. This is for the bloopers.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
All right.
Thank you, babe. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. So what were you saying about emotions?
Well, let me think where to start on that. I think, I don't know, I've had this persisting thought for maybe about 2 weeks now on just the impact of emotions. And it's something I processed prior to this, but it's coming back. And I'm like, all right, we'll think about it. We'll take some time on it. I guess my first question to you, just to enter in the topic, is like, it's a two-part. First, what is the utility of emotions? And second, what should you do with them? It's that broad. We'll hone it in, but just rough guess.
What is the utility of emotions?
Yep, and what should you do with them?
That's actually a really good question. I don't even know if there is utility to emotions. You would think if you're a species, if you're creating the perfect species for survival, you almost wouldn't want emotions. You would want basic survival logic.
I'd make the rough guess they serve us. Like, think of fear. Let's start with fear.
Yeah. But then why do you get, well, I guess, joy to know to go after the things you should for survival?
And this inherently, even from a biological standpoint, the negative emotions are so much stronger for people, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's like, 1 to 40 or something like that for positive emotions are going to be, 40? If you have 40 negative emotions, it equates 1 positive emotion or something like that. Like anytime you have a negative emotion, it's going to supersede that.
So it'd be like the reason emotions came to be would be because the species was too dumb to know the difference between what is harmful versus what is not.
Sure. I think it's a biological mechanism. I mean, like, most animals have this, like a fight or flight response, but then just adapt that over time, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I bit that thing and it really, really hurt me. And now I have a fear of anything that looks like that thing, right?
Yeah. I wonder if you could do without them, though.
Yeah, I mean, no.
If you think of like a more dominant species, it would be like an emotionless species, one that completely operates on logic.
Yeah, I mean, then you're getting into like the AI territory where it's like, I just operate on that.
Yeah. But
I would just argue the fact that it's what makes us human.
Okay.
So, I mean, you and I are not biologists or any sort of any intellectual anything. Pretty much just morons. So, like, digging into
a given
baseline. So, taking that into account, I mean, we can deep dive into like where do emotions come from if you want to, but I think that's the lesson.
Okay, so going back to your question though.
So then, second part is what do you do with them? That one's way more intriguing to me.
Let's off the top of my head, just learn from them, or
sure. So I'm just gonna walk through a scenario here.
Okay.
Say something occurs. Some work event occurs. Somebody makes a poor choice. You told them not to make said poor choice. Your response is frustration, which boils into anger. What should you do with that anger? And I have a branch that'll go from, but I want to hear your thoughts.
What should you do with the anger? Well, best case scenario, and I'm going to use, I'm thinking about myself if I'm running a team at work.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be training these guys, and like these will be guys that like you have trained from ground up. You know, they got on in my department day one, and I taught them, you know, and then they make a dumb mistake. That's like, dude, like I have
showed you,
know, and then you get a little pissy because like we just lost half an hour. That's about $10,000. And guess what? I'm going to be the one hearing about it because I'm the leader of this team, you know, or you make a mistake that costs you a couple hours, you know, and it's like, dude, that cost us $40,000 straight profit. And I'm going to hear about that, you know? I would say like the ideal would be to break it down to its core. It's like, why am I feeling angry? Feeling angry because this mistake was made, blah, blah, blah. And then you could either stay angry, which, work setting is the exact opposite because you guys are going to lose respect for you. Or you, like Jocko says, in extreme leadership, extreme ownership.
Yep.
It's like, okay, I know I taught him and I know I taught him correctly, but let's go back down to level 1, pull him aside, not around other people and be like, hey, and just like break it down to him again. Like, hey, like, this and this and this.
Really, really enforce that.
Yeah. And, be like, instead of scolding, be like, you did this wrong, be like, I need you to do this because your job is important for this reason. And like, we need you. Like, we need you on this team. And I'm not sure if this answers your question or not, but.
No, it's all in the ballpark. The point that you were just driving at there, correct me if I'm wrong, is essentially you need to drive deeper to the why. Why are we doing this? Why are you important? Why is this necessary? You're like getting all that context in there to hopefully drive home the point that you were trying to get in the first place that made you angry. So I would say that is a relatively healthy response. Now, do we often do that? No. So sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We're creatures of circumstances and succumbing to our emotions.
And you're an idiot. What do you know?
Baseline idiot.
JP.
Oh yeah. Okay. That went right over the head.
Yeah.
We're good. I guess the crux of what I'm looking at is when we have emotions, a lot of us like to not feel them because a wide range of emotions that we have are mostly negative. There's a few positives and those are great and we aim at those, but a wide majority of them are negative in the sense of like, anger, guilt, shame, lonely, hurt, like just a wide range of things that are negative. Whereas you have like joy and peace is not an emotion.
Enjoy.
Yeah, it's quite limiting. There's only a few of them. I have a big sheet of this at home.
Okay.
So, but with that, when you're dealing with emotions, you kind of walk through like what's an ideal scenario of that.
Yeah.
So my first point, I guess I would draw attention to is we have emotions. One of our biggest responses is often shove it down. I'm going to avoid this right now. Whether it be it's not appropriate right now, I don't want to feel this right now, whatever it is, we try to shove it down. And that's not really useful. It actually doesn't serve us because we're not getting to the heart of whatever is actually taking place.
Yeah, because that thing is still going to cause emotions.
It will, and you won't be able to control those. So actually, one interesting fact is we don't really think about this, but we don't have control over much, first off. Like some of our tangible actions, yes, of course, we're controlling those. But as far as the world around us and how we interact with it, we don't control much. Like think about this. You do not control your emotions, all right? They come to you for whatever reasons they're coming to you. Now, there's circumstances around you that are probably causing them, but you actually don't control them. And like pushing them down is not a control of it. It's just an avoidance or detachment from.
So you can control your emotions, but you don't have control over their origin.
Okay, so I would take that and spin it a little bit. I don't think you can control your emotions, but
you can handle your emotions. That's what I mean.
Yes, and this is actually the point to where I'm getting at.
Okay.
So you don't control the emotion itself. It happens. But what do you control? In fact, this is one of the only things you get to control in your life, devoid of, again, small tangible things that we do, is your response to emotions.
Yes.
That's about it.
Yep.
Now, with every emotion, there's typically about 2 branches that it can stem from. So a healthy direction and an unhealthy direction. So I like to take guilt as a good example. So you do something, it causes in you a sense of guilt, right? Oh, I screwed that up. Or, oh, I shouldn't have done that thing. Whatever it is that's now weighing on you with this like, oh, I have a sense of guilt inside. Okay, feel it. It doesn't mean you need to be like overrun by it and make stupid decisions. In fact, quite the opposite. You feel it, you look at it, you don't ignore it, and then you respond to it. So what's a healthy version of response to guilt? Well, guilt is going to drive a positive change. That's the healthy direction afterwards from guilt. It's like, oh, I screwed this up. I don't want to screw that up
How
anymore.
do I not do this again?
Correct. Right. So it drives an action to be better than. The negative version of that is guilt will take you directly into shame. So difference in shame and guilt is guilt being I screwed something up, and then go down to shame is I am something screwed up for having done X, Y, Z. Okay. Right. So positive and negative direction for everything.
Okay.
So with that, how often do you find that you let emotions drive as opposed to being decisive about how you handle your emotions?
Is this like a direct question? Like personal
question?
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm really bad in the moment. Like when the emotions come up, there's someone who's very, very important to me who I spend more time conversing with than all their human beings together.
Mm-hmm.
And they can attest that I will get on something. Not pointing anyone out in particular. My incredible girlfriends here. That's what we're. And she can attest. Like today, for example, a conversation came up, and I just got emotional about it and just plowed into it. And I don't mind confrontation. I don't mind uncomfortable things. And my emotions are just complete, and I'm just bad. I don't know when to stop. Very bad with it until eventually I see that the other person is just like beaten down out of it. And then I'm like, you effing idiot. Like, what are you doing? And that's my initial, and it's bad. Something I am pretty good at though, that has been a lot of work over the years, and she can attest to this as well, is I will actually sit down and like literally write out my emotions, like break them down, rough draft my emotions and basically be like, there was something that happened with us, and she asked me a question, and she's like, you look off. What's going on? And I was like, I don't really know. I do feel off. I don't know why. And then I literally wrote it down and then like took a picture of it and sent it to her. And so like, I think for me personally, initial response bad, but then the way I get over it is by actually like
being intentional,
actually breaking down like why I'm feeling, or like what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling that way, and then what I think I can do differently. So
I like that. See, I find actually I'm almost the opposite. Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I didn't think about this until you were just talking.
Oh, nice.
But like my initial reactions to things is, well, I think we talked about this before, but like grace almost always. So I'm going to just default to if something needs aggression, I'll step in and be aggressive. But almost always I'm going to assess it immediately, and I'll respond with wherever my emotions are. And I'll be like, okay, what's the best way I can handle this right now? How do I handle this well? How do I appropriately deal with whatever's going on? I'm feeling this. They hurt me. I did this. I screwed up. I got to step in and apologize. Whatever it is, like I respond very well. But what I don't do very well is if I'm sitting on something for a while, if I'm like sitting on a negative emotion, it like kind of just cascades my mind and starts taking over.
Okay.
And like I'll look at it occasionally and I'll want to address it, but that's where I have a general sense of weakness, where I do not step in and like, okay, this is persisting in a negative direction. Let's attack that. I'm just like, whatever.
I might be too far the other way. As you can attest, I'll like constantly be like analyzing things. And we've actually gotten to the point now, we had the conversation this week, I think, how we agreed that if I need, because I like will literally analyze every little thing. Like when we're in person, we're great. We're just in the moment. But then as soon as we separate, because we live apart, I will spend so much of that time just like analyzing, asking questions like, how did this, and she's told me, she's like, can we just not do that all the damn time? She didn't swear, she's good about that. But like, I'm just so like, so I've actually, and the agreement we made was I will, if it's something small, I'll just process it within myself. But if it's something large, I'll come to her and be like, are you in the mood to have an analytical conversation?
Dude, that is solid.
Like,
well, that's a male-female in general. It's a wide over assumption, but analytical focus. Like you're focusing on problem solving, right? So
can we hold that thought for 10 seconds?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, we're good. You may notice a large buzzing in the background. It is because we've got the mic hooked up because the mic has died again. Apologize for that. And I was checking to make sure the mic was still on. So
yeah, no, you're good.
All right.
So again, that's when we're looking at something, we're trying to problem solve it, right? Like every either relationship or marriage book probably goes over the same concept where guys just want to fix the thing and ladies just want to talk about the thing. Whereas you're just looking at it and you're like, I need to fix. I saw this was happening. What about this and that and this and that? It's like you're taking all the emotions you have and you're applying them right now. Whereas in general, the ladies want to walk through them, experience them, talk them out, have the whole gamut of what it is, which is fine. That's just our biological wiring going two different ways. So I guess, do you have any comments on that or no?
No. Keep going.
Okay. So I guess the thing that I was thinking now was, so if that's an aspect of what you do, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's probably something you would like to get better at, correct?
Nah.
No, let's get worse. I kind of want to compound that.
Yeah. I want to see how far I can take this.
How awful can I be?
How many people can I push out of my life?
Yay, negativity.
Obviously.
We want to improve, right? So and I don't have the answers here, so that's why I'm asking the question, but what rough things do we think you can do for your case in the acute sense of responding immediately more effective to the emotional response?
I think I can do two things better, and it's really nice. I don't know if you've heard the skit. Have you ever watched Bill Burr?
Yeah.
Okay, have you seen before he got married? He talked about, he's like, I'm not going to do it. Well, like, I think I've just been single too long. You know, he talks about how people are like, don't say that, and then you're single so long, you get to the point where like, fuck it, say it, see what happens. You know?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
I think because I spent about 10 years not in a relationship, you know, just because I didn't find anyone that I wanted to be with, you know. And I dated girls here and there, but
nothing.
But I just got to the point where it was like, fuck it, just fuck it, you know. And in that time, just was like, I don't really mind pissing people off. Like, I just don't care. Like, who are you? I'm not better than you, but you're certainly not better than me. Go fuck yourself, you know.
Who are you? I am.
Who do you think you are? I am.
Yes.
We did it. I did it. Yeah, Weber.
Yes.
Yeah. So we were bowling about a month ago, and there was league play going on.
Yeah.
And way down on the other side, we heard just an uproar, probably 10, 15, 20 people just going crazy. And above the crowd, you can hear someone yell, "Who do you think you are? I am." Perfect. Absolutely perfect. But,
so the responses to that, the changing over time.
Yeah. So basically, like, something that's really awesome about having, like, being with someone who is just being with someone, but then on top of that, being with someone who is very much not organized, structured. We've talked.
I know where you're going with that. Yeah. It's someone who's willing to work with you on all the things. That's kind of it. Someone
who is put together well. They have built themselves well, so they understand. Yeah. Good job, Katie. They have built themselves well. They have a good understanding of human nature. They have a good understanding of life. They're well grounded, right? So, like, to get that bounce back, you know, because when you're single for so long, you're just like,
it's your own loop.
Yep, nothing wrong with this. You are your
own feedback loop.
Correct. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Yep. But to have someone else, and there's so many times where I'll just do something or say something, I'm just like, this is fine. And she'll be like, what is wrong with you? And I'll be like, is that bad? You know, and then I'll get like mad about that. And then like the next day I'll be thinking about it because I'll just get stuck in my head for 8 hours at work, you know, and be like, fuck, she was right. You know, I'm the asshole, you know? And this happens every day. So that's like, so that is nice because you get that feedback, right?
Yeah.
That constant feedback. And what I'm learning, which I have never gotten this much feedback in my life, and it might have been because I just wasn't at a point where I was
able to receive it,
or that in combination with I just haven't been with someone who's as good as she is with that, and in general, let's throw that out there too.
All brownie points.
And so what I'm learning so rapidly is that I just need to like control my emotions from the get-go. Like you were saying in the last episode and just now, operating with grace, just being like, no, there's a good chance you're not right. Maybe you are, but maybe there isn't. And then, so in the moment, that just learning to just be like, dude, just chill out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just chill out. Just calm down. Like, who died? No one?
Right.
Then shut the fuck up.
Right.
You know, okay. Like, control yourself, Cliff. And then on the flip side of that, be like, you probably don't need to think about it this much. Who died? No one? Okay, then why do you care so much about this? Why are you just literally, I'll lay in bed, you know, I'm dog tired, lay in bed, I gotta work in the morning, and I will sit there for 6 hours just thinking. And it's like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to think about this much? Like, and I think a lot of that comes from just experiences in the past that have taught me this is the way it is. And now I'm experiencing something different. And it's like, I'm just having trouble accepting that I'm not going to get destroyed.
Yes.
You know, so like I'm using like a relationship as an example here, you know? And it's like, it's so foreign to me that I just like can't accept it.
It doesn't easily transmit, right?
Yeah, it's like
all good.
Where's the dagger?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where's the fucking dagger?
Right.
Where in my back is it going to go in? And it's like, well, it's like my mindset is like, there has to be a dagger.
Mm-hmm.
And because there's no indications of a dagger, I'm like, well,
then where's it hiding?
Yeah, exactly. So like, is it here? Is it here? Is it here? And then I'll get done. I'll be at work the next day, dog tired because I didn't fucking sleep. I'm so sorry about the amount I'm swearing in this.
Whatever.
I really wanted to cut back.
Check.
Yeah. And it's like, you get to the point where it's like, you kind of have to accept, like, listen, dude, there might not be a dagger,
mm-hmm.
you know? So maybe instead of just beating yourself up about this, maybe just like accept it, you know? So.
Yeah. And that is a challenge. So, man, I wish I was slightly more prepared for this so I just sat down with,
just clipped off, I think.
You want to check that?
Oh, sorry. Oh, still recording.
Yep, we're good. Just a click.
It sounded like a shutter frame.
It was this camera.
Oh, the other one shut off finally.
No, it didn't.
Oh, it just shut the thing.
We are totally discombobulated right now. So sorry.
It was a bit for setup, whatever.
Yeah.
So one thing I'm doing right now, and I absolutely love doing this, is I'm going around to most men that I find are what I would chalk up as wise in some way, shape, or form, that are older than 40 as I go through my 30s, asking for advice on what should I do with my 30s. Right. So I sat down with somebody last weekend, and he walked me through this 5-step process he learned of when you have things weighing on you, how to appropriately handle it. And oh my goodness, it's truly amazing. He got it from this leadership development guy, and all credit to that dude. And I don't have them memorized, so I can't articulate those to you. But I want to walk through those with you at some point.
Okay.
Because it's extremely valuable. Essentially, like, it starts off with where you are, realizing what you're feeling, addressing it, talking to another person if it's related to them, letting them know what you think they feel so that you bring them into the room instead of just leaving the assumption out there, and then closing the gap. And it's not like this fixes your problem, but it does release you from the shit that's weighing on you.
Okay.
So I'll get that in a little bit more detail at some point in time.
Okay.
But truly, wonderful gift. That
Okay.
was amazing to sit down with.
Yes, I would love to hear that.
100%. Yeah. And the funny thing was, I was working with somebody, and I'm kind of helping her develop some aspects of her personality and whatever self-development that she wants to do. And she always kept using this phrase. And I was like, I took a rough assumption of it just meant I'm dealing with conflict. And I'm like, good for you. And then this guy walked me through the process. I was like, oh, no, you're not dealing with conflict. You're dealing with like real stuff in a real meaningful way. And I was wildly underestimating what you meant. So I'm sorry that I don't have that available. And I'm sorry I'm giving like a vague assumption here.
It is very vague. It's so
vague.
Yeah.
I know. I would love to make more details out of it, but I don't want to misstate it. That's my problem.
Okay. 10-4. Check. Jocko would be kind of proud.
No, he wouldn't. You are
Trademark
pathetic. What time did you get up today?
How many push-ups on the concrete did you do?
So I think my yeah, the thing that was, I guess, just bringing this all to fruition is I was kind of being very focused on the emotions I was having. And I've been working on the second part for me, the part that sucks for me, just sitting with them.
Okay.
And just letting them actually be what they are. Understanding that, because I'll just stifle them down and just like, I don't need that. It doesn't need to be around. But like the other day, I just sat and I was like, well, I'm extremely lonely today. And I'm just going to be in that space. And I don't need to ignore it. I don't need to fill it with time. I need to just be there because it's obviously weighing on my brain. So let that be. And I was uncomfortable. Did not enjoy that at all. But it was kind of peaceful to just go through that and let that actually be what it is. And another aspect that I've realized is while I was like lifting the other day, I had like this compound of stress going on. And I was just trying to push myself to lift. And I was like, why can't I pick up this weight that I normally can? And I finally just realized, I'm like, oh, because my emotions are not where I would like them to be right now. And I was like, so internally, I'm telling myself something. I'm like almost in this like biological fight or flight internally in these small little battles in my mind. And it's just, if you're not aware of what's going on around you, you cannot optimally be doing the things that you need to be doing. I guess that was the driving force of what brought that up today.
Okay. Yeah. So if I understand what you're saying, you're going to have emotions and you have no control over their
presence, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Their insertion, but they're going to be there whether you want them to or not.
Yep.
And you can avoid them, but you cannot look at them.
Yeah.
But they're still going to be there.
Yes.
You can spill milk on the floor and you don't have to look at it. You never have to look at it.
Right.
But it's going to sit there and you can just never look at it. But guess what? It's going to still be there. It's going to curdle.
Yep.
It's going to stink. It's going to attract bugs. It's just going to get worse. It's just milk.
Right.
Let's be real. It's not a fire, in your corner, but
right.
it's going to evolve into something worse the longer it sits.
Yes.
You don't have to look at it. It is just milk. But now start dumping gallons, a cup here, and then an ounce here, and then another cup here. And then eventually your entire floor is an inch thick with curdled, moldy milk. You're eventually going to ruin your structure. It's going to mold through your floor. It's going to take out all the wood. Your structure is eventually going to collapse. If you let it there for how many years? You let that milk there for 10 years, 15 years, it would collapse the entire structure of your home. Or it's like, dang it, I spilt milk. I don't want to deal with that. What the hell is this? But it's like, okay, let me take the time, go grab the cloth, dry it up. Maybe I need to throw a little soap down. It's like, okay, I don't want to deal with this, but it's a lot better to just like clean up the milk. And then it's a lot easier to clean up one glass of fresh milk 1,000 times a year than it is to let 10 of them
sit for a long time.
Yes.
That was a really good analogy, bud. That was a spot on.
I'll give myself a 7 on that one.
You were talking to him like, solid. You nailed it. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
You cool with anything here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Love you.
Love you too.
Love you.